In Daytona Beach, Florida, this is the Daytona 500 NASCAR Winston Cup Grand National Stock Car Race.
The top three starters in the 1975 Daytona 500 had 30 starts between them and no wins to show for their efforts. Donnie Allison was on the pole next to David Pearson. Behind Donnie was his brother Bobby. But sitting in the fourth spot was five-time winner Richard Petty, going for his third win in a row and fourth in 5 years. Bobby Allison and Pearson won the 125s with Petty a car length behind Pearson, but Donnie had lasted only 9 laps, retiring with an oil leak. 3 days later, the engine repaired, Donnie blasted into the lead.
Ladies and gentlemen, the field is now addressing itself to the start-finish line, and the Daytona 500 is underway. Rolling down into the first turn, it's wheel to wheel for the first position. Down to the bottom of the speedway comes Donnie Allison, heavy dicing up front for the lead right now. The Matador breaks out of the pack and is 3 deep as they hit turn 2. Out in front is Donnie Allison, Richard Petty out against the wall. The Matador is second, Pearson is third. Cale Yarborough rides fourth as they go down the backstretch. A little smoke down the backstretch as the outside runner, Richard Petty, brings it up against the concrete wall, and now he trails Donnie Allison for the lead.
Richard Petty's Dodge was a low-flying missile, and he took over after the first lap.
Still down the backstretch, it's Donnie Allison, but Petty hangs in tight and makes a move to the inside, and now it looks he's on the outside into turn number 3. They're going racing early at Daytona. Petty goes high this time, takes over the lead from Allison in the low groove. Yarborough taps on the tail end of Petty, trying to follow the draft around and has second spot. Foyt challenging on the inside, rides fourth, David Pearson fifth.
Almost a quarter of the field was eliminated when Jim Vandiver spun out. None of the favorites were involved, though, and after the restart, Petty and A.J. Foyt, who had interrupted the King's reign by winning in 1972, ran a match race of their own.
Foyt's going after the lead. He takes the low groove. He moves past Petty's fender and takes over the lead as Petty goes high into the top lane. Foyt is your leader. Petty tucks in behind in second spot. Donnie Allison rides third.
After 36 laps, Donnie Allison's fuel pump took him out of the picture. The duel continued.
The new leader as they head for start-finish. The SCT Dodge of Richard Petty is in front, and he and A.J. Foyt are drawing away from the third, fourth, and fifth place automobiles.
Johnny Rutherford won the 1974 Indianapolis 500 and was trying to join Foyt and Mario Andretti in winning both Indianapolis and Daytona. His bid ended in a spin on turn 4. On the restart, Petty and Foyt resumed hostilities, soon joined by Buddy Baker. Baker was another Daytona hard luck story. This was his 13th start, and he had only finished the race 3 times, including a second to Petty in 1971. Buddy Baker was always fast.
Here comes Baker at the line, makes his move. Buddy Baker takes the lead. Going to turn 1. Buddy Baker scampered down to the bottom of the racetrack as they hit the first turn. Baker now works his way around some of the slower traffic as they go up in the groove. Richard Petty now 5 car lengths behind as they come out of the turn. Here's Baker dropping to the inside. Petty brings it out wide to the concrete rail, but Baker is still out in front.
Petty suddenly made an unscheduled pit stop. His car was overheating. The Dodge would continue to run strong all day, but repeated stops to deal with the temperature problem ended his bid for 3 in a row. However, the King would still be a factor in this race. David Pearson took over the lead for a while, then Buddy Baker moved up. Baker led for 46 of the next 56 laps until the snake bit him again.
Bud Moore is there at the window. The hood is up. So it looks bad for Buddy Baker. Baker has dropped to second position. The work continues on that automobile. They're working on the electronics of the car, Ken, inside the automobile, and it looks like it's all over for him.
When Cuckoo Marlin's engine blew, things seemed to be setting up for Pearson to finally break his 13-year jinx. Then an unexpected challenger emerged. 1973 Winston Cup champion Benny Parsons had started 32nd. He had only one engine, rebuilt with used parts after the qualifier by Waddell Wilson. Wilson built Andretti's winning motor in 1967 and would go on to even greater glory with Buddy Baker and Cale Yarborough. But Pearson took the lead back after 1 lap and appeared to have the race well in hand.
Pearson on the outside. He gets the Purelator Mercury upside just for a second, and then Parsons shuts him off as they come into the number 2 corner. Now Pearson rides 2 car lengths behind in second position. They exit turn 2. Pearson puts the charge on down to the inside, goes David Pearson, and here he goes around. Pearson makes that move to the inside, and he does get by, as does Richard Petty.
Overheating, not lack of speed, had cost Petty several laps. He took off with Parsons in tow, and they were rapidly closing the gap on Pearson.
It's happening. Richard Petty is now drafting with the second-place runner, Benny Parson, and he's closing ground. He picked up almost 1 second. Pearson's in trouble. David Pearson is broadside down the backstretch. He's on the grass as Petty goes by. He's spinning right in front of Jackie Root. He's spinning right down on the grass. He's got it under control. He loops it back around. A tough break for David Pearson. He tries to fire the motor. He's stuck right down here in the chicane area of the back straightaway, Ken Squire. It looks as if it's all through for the Purolator Mercury. David Pearson is out of it. He has crashed on the backstretch. Benny Parsons is on his way. The LG to win automobile is out in front. Car number 72 as car number 21 tried to go underneath Mikhail Yarborough and Richie Panchcart, and now Pearson is trying to get him to push him to start. We know what the meaning of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat is today as Benny Parson streaks by David Pearson.
The luck that lurks in the very asphalt of this 2.5-mile racetrack has picked Benny Parson to smile on today.
No one has ever come from this far back to win the Daytona 500. Ladies and gentlemen, here is your champion of Daytona, Benny Parson. Parsons in the LG DeWitt automobile has won the Daytona 500. David Pearson never gives up, comes across the line.
Pearson and Petty would race to another interesting finish the next year. It was only the third career win for Benny Parsons, but never in his 18 subsequent wins would he receive a greeting in victory lane like the one he got at the 1975 Daytona 500.